And that leads me to, like, again, the first image of you was when the news about Stephen A. Smith and his comments about Shohei Ohtani. Talk to me about how that even come about where you were picked to have that conversation. Like, how did that come about? How are you feeling? Because you talk about a lot of this weight on your shoulders, and when you're that person speaking to Stephen A. Smith, it's such a big personality. Yeah, walk me through. I'm trying to understand, like, how that even come about, and that must have felt, I don't know, whether it be a lot of pressure or maybe for you it was something that just needed to be done.
I think it felt more needed to be done than anything. Like, I felt like I was thinking about my family and my, like, nieces and nephews and my cousins and my sister and my parents more than I was thinking about any sort of, like, larger Asian representation thing, which I think helped put things in perspective a little bit. But it's one of those things where, like, I am the only Asian national baseball writer who's from, who's based in America. Yeah. There's lots of people from Korea and Japan who cover baseball nationally, but in America, I'm the only Asian national baseball writer. And so I felt like I had to say something. And so I kind of tweeted out a thing. And then, I don't want to go too much into detail about kind of the behind the scenes of how everything kind of ended up. But sure. I was eventually put in a position where, they wanted me to go on First Take. And Stephen A. had apologized at that point. And so had a conversation with Stephen A. over the phone and just kind of was pretty frank with him about what my point of view was and why I had personally felt offended about what he had said. And we had a pretty frank, honest conversation. Then we pretty much translated almost 1-to-1 on television the next day. And so, more so than thinking about, like, the greater Asian American community, almost selfishly, I think I was thinking about, like, wanting to represent my family well and wanting to think about, like, my nieces and nephews and trying to create, start a conversation on that kind of platform of First Take that, wouldn't necessarily happen regularly. So I think the thing that took me off guard afterwards was getting the reaction from people in the Asian American community after the fact. Cause, like, I truly was almost only thinking about my family and some of my friends and stuff. And then getting people to reach out and talking about all that stuff. I think I only then realized that a lot of other people were watching and that I had been able to speak for what they were feeling as well. So, it's just one of those things where it's like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I'm still grappling with a lot of what happened that day. But it was honestly, at the end of the day, like, I'm most glad that that conversation was able to take place on national television, because I don't think that Asian issues are often discussed in a way with nuance that hopefully that discussion brought to the kind of larger conversation around Asian Americans. So it was a pretty crazy whirlwind of a couple of days.